Good morning, Central Texas. Welcome to Community Connections. I'm Phyllis Jones, your host this morning, and this is part 2 of our migration talk, because we're going to finish talking about migration, but then we're going to talk about the remigration, because some went to the north, and I'm not going to say the north wasn't what they thought. The north for some was more than they thought, which is hard to take in, and they came back. And those of us who have been north and south, even today, can kind of not understand why they went back, but we could see the go back. And I'm going to say that because, okay, everybody knows I'm from Detroit. And when I was in high school, there was a girl who came from Alabama to Detroit, to which you should never do. Don't do that. I'm warning people, don't do it. She... And oh, excuse me, my guests are still the same. I still have Troy, still got Ray. So when you hear them chime in, that's who they are, because they've agreed that this topic is bigger than just an hour. But yeah, the girl, she came from Alabama to Detroit, and we were in high school. I went to an all black high school. No, I take that back. Excuse me, we had one white girl. Okay, we had one, Poor her. She survived 4 years. We don't know how she survived. But anyway, when the girl came to our school, we were, we extended our hand, because she looked like us. It was like, hey, But when she opened her mouth and those words came out, we stood back because some of the words she said we didn't know. And we didn't want to tell her we didn't know what she was saying. We were like, hey, she black. We were like, she looked like us. We can't be saying this. We can't tell her we don't know what she's saying because she looked like us. So we felt bad, because we didn't understand what she was saying, some of her words. But then she told us we talked too fast. And we told her, no, we didn't. We did. We said, no, we don't talk fast. You just talk slow. But after a while of us, we didn't battle with her, but after we came to an understanding, we realized, according to her, we did talk fast. And she had to realize that according to some of her words, we didn't know what she was saying. Her family did not stay in Detroit very long because they couldn't get over some of the hurdles from coming south to north. So they went back. And that was then, So I imagine if it was then, way back, I imagine it must have been a tight nightmare. So Troy, we did this migration, and we were all happy. But why did some of us go back?
Because they went back to what they were used to. I mean, because if you go now, even now, you go to these big cities, it's a whole different life. It's a whole different hustle. It's a whole different mentality. And they just can't deal with it. And I've been to New York and Harlem, and I've been to Chicago, and I've been to Miami, and I've been to those places, and that's a whole different mentality. And if you're not ready for that mentality, you're going to get swallowed up. So they got on whatever they came in, and hey, we're going right back to the South where it's slower. I can handle it. I know some people. I don't have to watch my back. It's not always about being hustled and all that. So I can understand if they went north, they got what they needed and went back down south because it was familiar to them, and they're probably amongst family and friends, and they didn't have to, worry about being hustled or have to hustle and bustle every day, like some people in these big cities do. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about going on the wrong side of Chicago or New York or Philly or whatever. You don't have to worry about all that. You in this little small town in Alabama or Louisiana or Georgia or whatever, and these people, So you going back to what you're familiar with. And hopefully when they did that, they brought back that knowledge and they were teaching everybody else. Because, as we know, reach one, teach one, each one, teach one. And so hopefully that's what they did. But they went back because they weren't used to that lifestyle. They like they say now, kids, and you ain't ready for that. They wasn't ready for that. They wasn't made for that. They had to stay on the sidewalk. They wasn't ready for them streets. That was just their mentality. They just weren't ready for the city life. Because the city life, if you're not ready for it, it can swallow you up.
So
you find yourself on the wrong side of it.
Do you think some of them went back because the fact that when they lived in the South and during the time of even after slavery, but during slavery, that you were told when to wake up, when to go to bed, when to pick crops over to here, when to do this over there. You were told that. So you grew up conditioned to being told every minute of your day, controlled by what this person said to you. And then when you go north, you had to make those decisions. You know, you were now forced to say, I got to be where? Okay, I got to get up at that. You were forced to make all those decisions that you were raised and brought up the majority of your life. You were told that. So do you think that was a fear factor that all of a sudden I got to do this now? Rather than someone telling me I got to do it?
Some people, unfortunately, are get used to that. Condition. They get used to that. I mean, you see that today when people are in and out of jail, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I've got family members myself. Yeah. You know, I'm like, why you keep going, dude? Why you keep going back? People get conditioned to that. So, unfortunately, that might have been some of the reasons people went back. And, you know, I can't, you know, we all, of course, we can't really speak for why they would do what they do.
Right.
Because that's something that probably we wouldn't do once we probably left. But people do get conditioned, and it's sad to think that they do get conditioned to those type of environments, and they feel like, well, I can't survive in this environment, so let me go back and do what I'm comfortable doing. Because unfortunately, people are that way, and we don't understand it, but that's how they survive in the world, because they figure, hey, I can't get used to this. I'm not a hustler. I'm my education level is not here. I'm not going to be able to make it. So let me go back down here. And yes, I know this is bad, and I got to live under these laws, and they're going to treat me this way. But I'm comfortable. I know them. They know me. And in my mind, they really not going to hurt me because they need me for whatever mentality they had. But, you know. So
they're good people.
Yeah, they're good people. They love me. You know, Mr. John loved me. They give me, you know, orange basket every Christmas. You know, pecans and bananas in it. You know, stuff like that. So, you know, but for some reason, people, you know, will go back because that, again, that's what they're familiar with. And a lot of people fear the unknown, or they just didn't have the mentality to step out there and believe that they can become what they wanted to become. So they went back to what they were comfortable with.
Okay, but so it goes back to no.
Real quick?
No, you're going to.
Okay.
You are. But also, okay, as Ray said, that the son watching the father get whipped, and now they move north, and then they go back south. Ray, what did they teach their son?
Nothing to me. And I want to jump on real quick to what you were saying about why a lot of them, because you got to understand, like a lot of them was farmers.
Right.
So now you move to the city where there's no land, there's no farm. You can't, you know, you're used to feeding your family a certain way, growing your stuff. And you when you're a farmer, you're not to say your mentality is a little slower, but it's not city. Like you said, it's not the city. And a lot of them, when they got up there, you know, they was like, wait a minute, I was promised some land, or I can't do, you know, electrical order. I was gonna give them some land. I can farm, and when they was, you know, so a lot of them at that time was like, I don't know how to do. It wasn't the fact that they just didn't know how to do like factory work, and they felt they was farmers. You know, some people just get in their mind, this is what I am. This is what I do.
Right.
And so a lot of them went back to farm. You know, get some land, because now they free slaves.
Right. So
they went back to get, you know, to buy land to farm. But you're right, and a lot of them had that same mental state like they do now when you imprison somebody so long that their mentality is stay even when they out there in prison. And slave was the same way, you know, like they're made to get up, they're made to do this, they're made to do that. So, you know, when you get up and it's like, okay, what am I? Like my grandfather would say, the idle hands the devil's workshop. They don't know what to do. They you know, they're sitting around and they just, you know, okay, where am I supposed to go now? What am I supposed to do? And they used to somebody telling them to do something. They used to, you know, and when you strip a man of everything, and again, it's hard. When you got to build him back up, it's hard to instill new values in him when he's been used to this here, you know. And yeah, a lot of them went back because again, this is scary. Look, I'm an East Coast kid. I'm an East Coast kid. I left East and I moved to Michigan, and then I'm gonna tell you, I went to Alabama State. Ooh. And even from East to Midwest is a culture shock.
Yes.
But to move to the South, man, and I'm gonna tell you, it's funny because they used to, like you were saying earlier, they used to always say, well, why you always talk so fast? Right. And I used to always say, why you here so slow? Yeah. You know, like wait a minute. You know, And it was funny because it was man, it's like you driving
Right.
and you just hit something and it just me. I promise you, and it was weird how like because I'm used to everything just
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Because
Right.
you know people say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Yes.
And I have an Empire State of Mind. But you go when I moved to Alabama. I was down there, and then I moved to Georgia, and I lived and the funny thing, I've lived in the South most of my adult life, but my mind is still
right.
New York. I have a New York state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people still say, you always talk fast, and you always blah blah, and I'm like, my mentality is still the same, and that was the difference with them coming up north because some of that, like we were saying before, some of their mentalities changed.
Yes.
Some of them couldn't. It wasn't that they didn't want to; they just couldn't. And so guess what? Now we just gonna take a bunch of us that we farmers, we free now.
Right.
We gonna go try to make a living back. We're not gonna go back here. We gonna go. I was told Georgia got some good land, and Georgia's not as strict as Texas or as strict as Louisiana. We gonna go over here, try to build. We gonna go down to Tennessee, build some. So yeah, in a sense, it was that they just couldn't. They couldn't change their mentality. And then and then like I said, and it was funny because like what happened in the '80s, everybody started going back to the South because of now you're going out for colleges. So a lot of them people start migrating back to the South because the schools was there. HBCUs and everything. So now we started migrating back to the South. Bill Cosby came out, and man, HBCU. Because honestly, I didn't know what HBCU. I didn't know
Right.
I didn't know what HBCU. I swear, I didn't know it until I watched Cosby. I did not know what a HBCU was until I watched Cosby.
Right.
And he made that. He enlightened me on what a black college was.
Right.
And then different world and everything. And when that hit, it was flooding down and again, but it was because you thought this was.
Yes.
And it was crazy that everybody started going. So all my family, like I said, I was born in Jersey, raised in New York. Most of my family now is in Georgia.
Wow.
I got some in Michigan. My mom and everything got some in Michigan, but most of my family left and went down to Georgia. So we got a lot of. So again, it's just that movement. We still got some in the East, Philly and New Jersey and everything, but most of them, everybody spread out. But again, it's that because the colleges was here, the schools was here, and you would think the schools would be better up north because that's where that's where everybody wanted to go to. But but the colleges, once you wanted to further your education, that was because we couldn't get you couldn't get into U of M, you couldn't get into Harvard, you couldn't get into Ivy League, you couldn't get into Ohio State, you couldn't do that back then. All them, so guess what? You had to come back down south. To get the Morehouse filming, all them, the Tennessee State and all them, and I'm saying all these schools down here, you had to come down there get into. So again, it to me, like I said, it was more of a mental state for that first part. But again, after the second, it just became more of an education. Like okay, we done all we can up north.
Right.
We done it. We graduated. We lived through it. We graduated. Now we have to further it. So guess what? I got to come. I got to come down here. Right. So I got to come now to further my education. A lot of them. Guess what? Now because at that point now, remember the South became more of an opportunity. Than the North did in the 80s, in the 80s and 90s. It became more opportunity for blacks in the South than it was, because again, like I said, the North just became a stalemate. At a certain point, it just literally stopped progressing. We came up here to get what you want to get, but then it hit a wall, and you were like, okay, I need to
do something.
Because all those jobs we went to the North for have disappeared.
Yes.
All the coal mine jobs and the porter jobs and the trains and all that have disappeared.
Right.
So now you find yourself coming back down south, where now we've come back home to now spread all this knowledge that we got from the North. Because, like I said, now we look at it now, Georgia. Now Georgia is now that pivotal state for us because we've all come home. We've all went to those colleges that we have, and we're living in Georgia and outside of Georgia, and we're making a big difference now. And so, and we can also understand that the listeners will say, hey, the Great Migration just wasn't only north; it was west. So
Yes.
we'll just throw that in.
Yes,
it was west.
Yeah,
And all that.
we're going to forget you, California.
Yeah, we're not going to forget you people in California. How you guys migrated from the south and also went west as well.
I apologize about that one.
So we won't leave that out. But now people coming back because now, like you said, there's more opportunities and all those jobs we went for have disappeared.
Right.
And so now we brought all our knowledge back and we're building the South and we're slowly, making our presence felt now in the South. And we can say that because we just had an election and the biggest, and hey, Georgia.
My hat's off to you.
Georgia.
My hat's off to you.
But
thank you.
Now that you mentioned Georgia, I'm going to tell you some things where we did help. Stacey Abrams sent out an all call to black women only. And her all call was that she needed our help. Right? Okay, I am not a Southerner. I have no Southern roots. And that's weird to say. I don't have none. I don't have none. My dad was born in Botswana. That blew the heck out of that.
Oh, yeah. My dad was Trinidad. So
that blew his roots. See, his roots are Africa, Yeah. But anyway, she did an all call, and she needed women's help. And she wanted us to call people that lived in Georgia, the women, to get them to come out to vote. And, a lot of us like, okay, we called the office that she left, and we called and said, okay, we'll help you. Well, when some of us called, we got denied. I have no Southern drawl. I don't. So I don't sound like the women in Georgia needed me to sound. So some of us couldn't do the phone calls because of that. So we did the texting because I could text. Because my text language doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I text it. There's no accent on there. So most of us bought throwaway phones because I don't want everybody in Georgia to have my phone number. Yeah. So we bought throwaway phones and we did the texting for her with the numbers that she gave us. But it was hilarious when we called the office and, the lady goes, okay, well, that's very good. You can text. Yeah, I was like, text? I want to call people. She said, you can't call people. Yes, I know how to talk. She said, yes, I know you know how to talk. We're talking. She goes, where are you from? Detroit. She said, where's your family from? Detroit. She said, where's your dad from? So I went on, I'm like, oh, I'm done. She said, you have any Southern roots? I'm like, my great-great-grandfather does. But that didn't count. It ain't count. Because he's my great. It was my great-great. I'm like, okay. So, but that's what she said. She said, well, since you don't have a Southern drawl, she said, and all your words, none of your words sound like you're from the South. I said, yes. She said, we need you to text. She said, because the people here will determine that you one of the ones that sent to trick them. And, I'm looking at my calendar. It said 2020, I'm looking at it. It said 2020. I'm like, it says 2020. And mindset, I'm dealing with people who not where I need them to be. And I'll say I need them to be because I want to make this phone call. But and there's a few of us in Killeen who did it. And we all called each other laughing like, what you doing, texting? Why you text? Oh, and then one girl got to make phone calls, so we didn't like her.
But you know what's funny about that? But in the sense that is scary that is actually true, though.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the bottom line, though.
Yeah.
That not that it was true, but that they believe that to be true. Like,
right.
And that's the scary in itself. Like you can't. None against you. You probably well educated. But when you get on that phone,
right?
You don't sound like
us. So my mental thing is like, hey, click. You know what I mean? You trying to trick me. Oh, you trying to trick me?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So and that's dang, I ain't never thought it like that. I've never.
And you because you never know what Stacey Abrams have coming at her.
Right.
She probably got people filtering her stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to make this decision, and you're trying to do this good thing. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't sound black enough.
Yeah, I'm like,
wait a minute, let me hang up and
call you back.
Give me a second, see how I can, change my voice, and let me call you right back, and maybe I can get through. Hey, y'all, and something.
Let's extend to my Southern right there, y'all.
That's crazy. It's 2000, like you said, it's
2020. Yeah, and I was like,
look at the calendar like, are we still doing this?
Yes.
What's going on?
And
okay, this is Georgia. Yeah. Let me try to focus on what may be going on down there. Because they're.
I was stationed there for 10 years.
But you know what I understood, how I understood real fast. They could text us back. We asked them questions. And they could text us back. and this lady texted me, and she spelled the word probably. I didn't know you could spell it. I didn't know you could spell it.
Gentlemen, we're going to show right now. I think it's time for me to go.
Say that one more time. She texted the word what?
Probably. You know, but she texted. No, probably.
Oh, well, maybe that maybe was one of the words you should have used. You got on. Because you like, probably.
You got on the phone and be like, listen, I can probably help you out. And she's like, oh, you know what? Get a phone.
Georgia language.
But
you should call everybody doing the text you so you can get the word, you know, like
I know I was reading it. I'm like,
how did she spell it?
Huh?
I'm curious, how did she spell it?
She spelled it Prolly. Probably. And when she, when I read the text, I read past that because I was thinking.
I am so sorry.
I was thinking that the rest of the sentence would have told me what that word was, right? So then I'm like, okay, dummy, pronounce the word. I said, it's really probably. I'm like, somebody spelled this.
So anybody going to Georgia, look up some words before you go.
Yeah.
You know, you can understand what they saying or you can fit in.
Yeah, because
I don't know. Probably, hey.
Well, we
for your help.
Well, we know we went back to the South.
Yeah.
But that made me think about this topic. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know my fat like that. I apologize.
No, wait. You gotta have some humor. We gotta have some humor.
Oh Lord, that's just. I done got my 7 chuckles for the day.
Me too, man. I'm gonna have to go lay down on that one.
I mean, like I said, when she spelled it, I went past the word. Because you know how when there's a word that you don't know, you go to the next word, hoping that would explain that word, right? So I'm reading the whole sentence. I'm like, no, I said, that's probably. I'm like, did I pronounce this wrong? She had me judge me. You know
what?
Hey, have you questioning your own education?
That's it, yeah,
But that there is a phone call. I gotta go. You know what? Wait a minute. Hello? Did you just text me probably? Like I just need to know.
Yeah,
I just need to know.
Boy, and I'm checking the spelling too.
I know,
I have to.
But I had to go to the Urban Dictionary.
Oh, you had to go. Yeah,
I did go to the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, you can go to Webster.
No, you can go to Webster.
Urban.
I went to the Urban one, and it explained what it explained what probably meant.
Oh no!
I felt like dummy of the day because I'm like, okay, I missed that. But
my next issue is about to be hell of a. I don't even tell you. That is my next issue is going. I gotta call my brother. My brother's from Georgia. He's from Georgia, and I gotta call.
Ray, go call him. Hey man.
Like, hey man, you know what probably mean? Yeah. You know what probably mean? Because if you say yes, I'm hanging up. Probably
see, there you go.
You'll probably sentences with it in there. Using it the correct way. Yeah, I probably, hold on, man. Yeah, I know what it probably means.
Well, Ray, be laying on the floor when you do this so you won't fall. And Troy don't be using that word this evening.
Hey. I'm going to leave it all day.
I'll get another one. I'll get another one. Both of them.
Both of them?
Yeah. I actually had a dude spell that for me.
No, see.
I swear.
See, that's bad when they spell it.
He spelled, he said both of them. And I said, what? He said both of them. And he said, like both of them.
Both of them.
And I said,
right.
Okay, spell that. He said, BOFUM. Like, I swear, like they taught it. Like it was an educational thing. He said, it was just like a, if I asked you what probably mean,
you had to think about
that. Yeah, I said, spell both of them. BOFUM. I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
You're right.
See, yeah.
Look at
okay.
Both of them.
Get in my car and look it up. Both of them.
Both of them. Okay.
Well, see, when I came to Texas, I had to learn who Mama and them is, because I had to ask who's the them.
Who is them?
The them.
I learned that in Virginia.
Yeah, they were like, who? Because she said, I'm going over Mama and them house. I said, who's the them?
Yeah.
She said, what you mean the them? You said Mama and them. Who's the them? And she was like, you're kidding, no. No, she said, when you go over your grandmother's house, what did you say? I'm going to my grandmother's house.
That's what I say.
She said, what about the people there? What about them?
Them. Them is
that's
uncle.
See, my grandma,
that's aunt, aunt this and uncle this and niece this. All of them that's over there.
See,
that's them.
But see, they didn't define it.
Not them.
Them. The nim. Yeah, nim.
Nim.
See, I had to learn that. I learned that in Virginia. We used to go to Virginia every summer, and my cousin used to say that all the time. We finna go west, my mom in them house or auntie in them house. I'd be like, who?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was like auntie. I thought it was, and I'm gonna tell you, I went on my auntie house, right? So I would call her Auntie Nim.
Because you thought she was.
Because I thought he was saying Auntie Nim house.
Yeah.
And I was calling her, and she said, "What are you calling me?" I said, "Nim." I said, "I'll call you." I'm just calling Al.
Yeah.
We call him Al. I said, "Well, I'll call you." She said, and I said, "No, I was going Auntie and Nim." I said, he says Auntie and Nim house. I said, "What is Nim? I don't know."
Who's the Nim? Yeah, what are you?
You know.
Where'd
So
you get
again,
that
I was calling her Auntie Nim. I was like, Auntie Nim. And she was like, "What? Who you talking to?" I was like, "Oh, my bad." I didn't know what Nim was.
See, this is what migration did to us.
Yeah, you know, because again, you know, up north, you know, I
Language
said
and culture.
it was because again, I'm from New York, so
Right.
we went over grandma's house.
Yeah.
And we
over
said,
grandma's
you know,
house.
I'm going on grandma's house.
Right. Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm going over so and so house. It wasn't Nim wasn't involved.
No.
There was no Nims.
Mm-mm.
So I didn't know Nim. I'm
And
moving
it's
south.
funny because still way that today you go visit somebody in the south or somewhere up north or something, they're gonna say some words you don't even know.
That's it. Yeah, you stand there
That's what they
looking.
grew up saying. That's
Right.
their culture. You know, it's like when you said about being in the military, you learn different stuff. Even playing cards differently.
Yes.
You know, different words, different cards, and so you just do things differently. And when you go to like Miami or somewhere, that language is
Right.
so different
Right.
that you're like, okay.
Am I in a new
He's
world?
Black, right?
Yeah.
He's black, right?
Yeah.
What, am I missing something?
Yeah.
But it's that culture, that Florida culture
Yeah, when I
that
moved
you
in-
run into. You
When I
know,
moved to Georgia, I remember the first time I heard the word shorty.
So,
Shorty.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't understand it. So somebody said, "Well, you know, you say son," and I said, "But like I had a lady tell me because I said, you know, you know me.
Right.
Like, whenever I meet a woman, I always say, "How you doing, beautiful? How you doing, Gordon? How you doing?" Because my grandfather always told me that you should always give a black woman a term of endearment.
right.
Because you never know how the day was. So you always come off the, you know, so, you know, people used to, when I went to the South, people used to be like, they thought I was
Oh.
literally being not rude, but like, you know, well, you can't call me. And I just be like, oh, I apologize, you know. Like I say son, but, and like I explained it to him, no, that means son, like the sun.
Right. Right.
You shine, you know, that's why we say son. We don't mean like your little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because again, you walking to me saying shorty, and I mean, I ain't the tallest guy, but I ain't, you know, I ain't, you know,
Midget
I
height,
ain't a midget height, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Respect nobody.
yeah, you know, I ain't at a height disadvantage or something, you know.
Right.
I'm like, but shorty, I mean, I don't get it. I never got it. And that was a woman saying that to me.
Oh, wow.
That wasn't even a dude.
Wow.
That was a woman. I had a female call me shorty, and I said, and I was like, I had to look. I was like, "Are you talking to me?" Like, I don't know.
Where'd that come from?
I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I was, you know, and I was in the military. I was at Benning.
Yeah.
I was stationed at Benning, and I'm like, and she was like, "What's up, shorty?" And I was like, "Huh?"
I know.
I didn't know what was.
Explain that.
Because you know me, when I see, you know, and I always say ma, like, you know, that's what we say, you know, because again, your mother is earth, so we always say ma, you know, and that's like son,
Right.
you know, and so I'm explaining that to all you people that's here in New York and say it. That's what that means. It doesn't mean he's saying ma like you a mother, you know, ma like because you're a mother
Right.
of this earth, and we say son as like the sun, you shine. So that's what that means, and But the word, when I moved to the South, they used to say stuff, and I used to be like, and when I tell you I was confused, especially when I Alabama State, I used to be like, what did he just say to me? I don't even know. I should be offended or what? I didn't know what. Look, I didn't know what was he being me like. What? I don't get it. Like I don't know. And I mean, they have a whole conversation. You be still. I'm Trinidad. I go home. I get patois. I can speak. I talk. You know.
Right.
I hear it, and I can understand it. And that's almost the same thing as when you go into the South. It's like a whole nother
World.
thing. Yeah, when you're hearing them speak, and it's like, but again, that's come from, like we were saying before, languages in order to travel,
Right.
languages in order to get back to the north or back to the south.
Right.
We had to speak different languages
Yes.
so we can know where to hide, know where to be, know where to get, and that's what. And but those languages either stuck and they became something else, and then they became part of the culture and a part of the language, and they speak it. And you go down there and now you like a deer in the headlights. And
That's
you're
it.
like, wait a minute,
Right.
I don't know, because I had a drill sergeant. I remember when I first got, I had a drill sergeant from Florida, and he used to lose if he wasn't yelling at me, I didn't know what was going on. Like the only time I knew it when he yelling at me, I go, okay, I know what he want me to do.
Right.
And when he talking, I was like, I'd just be sitting there and he'd be like, you heard me. I'd be wanting to say no, Dressel. I mean, I heard you, but I didn't understand. I don't know what you're asking.
Right.
And it was funny because he used to be like, well, I guess I got to dumb it down for you Northerners. That's what he used to say.
I hate that.
And he said, I got to dumb it down.
Yes.
I said, no. So one day I remember getting in trouble because I said, well, I just want you to water it because it sounds dumb already. Yeah. And so he was like, so again, because you know me, because you know who I am. So because again, I'm like, don't get smart with me if you don't want it back. You know.
That's right. Yeah.
So when I said it, because I told him, I said, well, it already sounds dumb. I just want you to water it down. Just water it down for me, because it already sounds. So he was like, so again, I got smoke for it, but you know, in the end, but it was funny, you know, but it was, and that was from Florida, so I can, you know.
You can imagine.
Yeah. And that's funny because that's what I said, like, because when you go up north, it's like we speak, in, I hate to say plain English, but it's more of a general English. Back then, I should say.
Right.
It was more of a general English that they spoke.
Right.
You know, everybody had English, but they up north they spoke more of a general, because I guess they really want everybody to understand each other. You know, but as you traveling, and then you got to think, you traveling from, especially if you say you come from Alabama, and you traveling up, you know how many languages and terms and cultures you pick up on the way up north.
Right.
You know, and then you and people talking to you differently. So say you had to stay somewhere for a week, you know, you might not have just went straight up. You might have had to sit somewhere for a week or a day or two. Now you got you got people talking to you. You got to understand them.
Exactly.
You know, and so guess what now? So now you picked up another language or another term that you using for the trail.
Yep.
And then all them things, they add up, and so to get back and forth, you're like, okay, hey, so now you went back down to the south, and now you use, like you said, we teaching all what you learn. So that means dialect, that means tone, that means languages, terms, all this other stuff that you brought, not just from the north, but everything in between and then what you brought with you up north in the first place. So now you're teaching all that right there. So that's a whole. So somebody from because you think now even somebody from the south might go. You got somebody from Louisiana might go over to Alabama and they be like, "What did you just say?" Because again, because you went from Alabama to Georgia, but you took a route from Alabama to Chicago back to Georgia. So now you done learn
another language.
All this stuff.
Buddy. You know, even going to West Texas as a kid, I remember going to Paris, Texas. I'm an East. Well, my family migrated from East Texas. It was Paris, Texas, DeKalb, New Boston, Texarkana. And I remember meeting my grandmother the first time and hearing her say 2 bits, 3 bits, and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, what is that?
Right.
But that's the language they use. She died when she was 105. But money.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't understand what that was when I first, and this was like in the 70s or 80s when we first went to Paris, Texas, and that was a whole different language even there. You know,
for 2 bits maybe like dollars or
50 cents.
50 cents?
Yeah. 3 bits, you know, like 75 cents and stuff like that. And that's the language they used. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. I know I'm not the smartest kid, and I'm from Midland, Texas, but this is Paris, Texas, and my grandmother at the time had to be in her 90s.
Wow.
And I'm just shocked. And you know, my first time going to Harlem was like a whole different world.
Oh wow.
Because you had all of those people speaking different dialects.
Yes.
And I'm looking at my friend. We caught the train from Connecticut, and she asked me where I wanted to go because I wanted to go to Sylvia's.
You kind of got to. You want to go to Sylvia's, or you trying to go to Sylvia's?
She said, "What do you want to do? Let's go to New York to Sylvia's," because I never heard of Sylvia's. And I said, "I want us to catch the train."
Right.
And we getting off in Harlem, and we walking, the 125th and Lenox, I believe, and it's been so long ago, and I'm hearing all these dialogues on my way to what Sylvia's were, and I was thinking, man, am I in a different world?
Yes.
You are.
Different world, because this was just like, and it was just astonishing to hear all these different dialects and different people,
right.
And I couldn't understand a word, because I would have been just lost. I could have just imagined moving to Harlem and from the South,
right,
and then trying to fit in. I would have been lost.
And you are, because hey, growing up, it was weird because like I said, growing up, when I grew up in New York, it was segregated, and you had blacks lived here, you had why you had your Little Italy, you had Chinatown,
Right.
you had the Irish men live over here,
Yeah.
you had your place with Puerto Rican, everybody staying over here, so. And it's funny because but at the time I didn't even realize that was segregation. Like I didn't understand that was racial
Right, yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't go over here, we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go over there. You couldn't, that was just a lifestyle to me. But when you go to school and you go to do something, you hear all these, you got all these cultures. You do it. So like every year we have this, on Labor Day weekend. If you ever get a chance to go. Labor Day weekend in New York, we have the West Indies Day Parade.
Right.
And it is the most beautiful thing outside of actually going to an island that you will ever experience. And the West Indies Day Parade is literally like all these islands, all these villages, all these people. They line the streets with parades and all this other stuff. But the food but you will sit back and you will hear dialects from folk that you can work with this man for 10 years and then go to West Indies and be like, wait a minute, what? I didn't know you speak. Like, wait a minute.
Right.
And you start talking to you,
Right.
you're like, wait a minute, dog. I've been on you for 10 years. I didn't even know you speak.
Yeah.
But that's what that is, and it's like everybody, you bring your cultures and you bring all your stuff out. You do all this other stuff, and I'm gonna cut this up, but the funny thing, I was trying to bring that to Killeen.
Really?
Yeah, I tried to bring. I had this thing I wanted to bring to Killeen, and Killeen shut me down.
They would
Twice.
for fear.
Yeah, they shut me down twice to do it. This was right before the COVID too. So I said this year I'm gonna try to get it bring it here. But yeah, they shut me down twice, and they had all these excuses. Every time they had an excuse, I fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
Right.
I got this. I take
Right.
this and I did this, and every time it was always something different. Cause then and I said, well, I'm gonna get it here. I promise you, I'm gonna bring it here. But the whole thing about it was like you said, like when they all went to New York, and they took Harlem because before the migration, Harlem was actually white on
Right.
was a white
Right.
village
Right.
before the migration. Then literally we bought out Harlem.
Yep.
Literally bought out Harlem and became the Harlem Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
But all these dialects was here because you got to think New York was also all boats was coming in through New
Right.
York.
Yeah. Right.
Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And all these other places, they coming in through New York, and you had Paris Island, you had all these immigrants coming
Right.
in. So now not only the blacks are here, but you got all these immigrants coming in as well. So you got all these dialects and everything. It's just imagine, right? You doing all this, but you pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're gonna take this back to the South. So now, but now you got to think: are they going to accept you now?
There you go. Yeah.
In the South,
Right,
because
right.
now you talking like a Northerner,
Mhm.
or you talking, they did because that was the whole reason why a lot of them came back down because they couldn't understand, or they couldn't fit in here. So now you leaving, bringing all that to the South. Now how do you flip this and say, okay, we're gonna make this work for us? So now, but you got to look, but then you got to look at all these because back then, remember, rich blacks was looked at differently.
Yes.
In the South, because especially if you was a free slave,
Yes.
you looked at differently. You wasn't looked at as the white man, but you wasn't looked at as us either.
But in Maryland, there was a group of men called the Dandy Men. The Dandy Men are the ones who created bow ties. I'm sorry, Nation of Islam, but y'all didn't do it. It was the Dandy Men. And the Dandy, Ray is over there. They're over there laughing at me, Sean. Both of them laughing at me. That's wrong. They're not supposed to laugh at me. But anyway, the Dandy Men were free Africans who got here. And what they would do is when they saw a slave running, they would snatch him up, clean him up, put him on a bow tie, because the assumption was if he had a bow tie, he was one of the Dandy Men and he was free. They used to do that. They did it. They started in Maryland. But yeah, they were the free ones and they were the Dandy Men. And they started, I'm sorry to let y'all know, but anyway, they started the bow ties because that was a distinguishing looking tie, the bow tie. And they got it from France because France started that. And then they brought it here to distinguish themselves, quote unquote, from slaves. But what the white man did not know is that they incorporated that. and they became they made other slaves dandy men to save them, and to, like I said, change up thought of who they really were. So that was something we did, and like I said, the bow tie belongs to us. It's something that we brought to the United States to distinguish. So we had a bunch of slaves that were dandy men and really weren't.
Well, every time I put on my bow tie, I'm gonna remember that because now I'm in the bow ties and.
Oh
Well,
God!
I'm not a bow tie guy.
Really?
And that's funny. I own like 3 of them. I've never worn. I've been given I got 3 bow ties. 3 bow ties was given to me as a gift.
Right.
But I've never been a. I don't know why, but I've never been a bow tie kind of. I don't know why, but I've never been. Now, I own about 500 ties.
Right.
Exactly. Well,
I got ties for every color, everything you can imagine. I can reach in my closet and match a shoe with it.
Yeah.
But
Bow
bow ties and I'm gonna tell you, I told myself I'm gonna start trying to, cause like my brother, he loved bow tie. He a bow tie guy.
Yeah.
And he always said, that was sending me my 3 bow ties. Because he's still trying to get me into bow ties. And I said,
okay.
you know, and I said, okay. I told him one day, I said, I'm gonna buy a suit specifically for a bow tie. And because most of my suits aren't, I guess you could say, aren't catered for bow ties.
Right.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
most of my suits, I don't know why, but I get on tailored, so they're not really catered for bow ties.
Right.
So I said, I'm gonna get me a suit that, bring the bow tie out or whatever you do with it.
Yeah, you gotta be a dandy man.
I'm gonna give me a dandy suit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give me a dandy suit. So
Be a dandy man.
I don't know because I just never. I don't know why, but I don't know. It always feel, and I know it's different with a tie, but for some reason, get a bow tie. It always felt like it was
Just stick it
on
one
my
spot.
on my throat.
Can't move. Yeah.
And I guess that's
See,
my culture.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Yeah, right to me.
I just recently became bow tie man.
Really?
I'm like you. I can spread all the ties I have out on the bed of mine. But I just now became a bow tie guy. So I feel your pain, man. I do because it took me a while to catch on.
To catch on.
It took me.
I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna. But next time I get out at an event, I'm gonna put a bow tie.
Now the guy who took Mel's is gone.
Yeah.
And the guy who took his place, I haven't met him yet. Is Chad, the bow tie man. He says he has a number of bow ties. I haven't met him yet, so next time he does a remote, I'm gonna go and see him. But he supposedly has all these. He's the bow tie man. Yeah.
Okay, well,
He's the bow tie man.
I see a lot of people wear it. And I see a lot of people wearing it. And I see a lot of people to me who wear it, who do it, who to me I'd be like, well, that look good. Like I like that what he got on. Then I see a lot of dudes that just look restricting. It don't look.
Right.
You don't look
right
like comfortable in it.
Right.
Right. And maybe just because who that person is, but it always looked like you're not comfortable. And I don't know why. I just felt that way about a bow tie.
But some men in bow ties look like the little boy in his daddy suit.
Even went in the closet and got his, dad sit down and put the bow tie, and it ain't all right. Because I'm gonna tell you,
Sorry, guys, I said that, but
I was.
That's how some look.
I did an event at this, and I don't want to say no names, but I did this event at this place, and the gentleman had on, all these gentlemen had on suits. And the main guy, I was talking to him, and he asked me he wanted me to do a feature on it for the magazine, and I said no, and he said why? He said I'm doing all I said because my problem is that I understand what you're trying to do as far as you want everybody around you to be suited up and everything. I said, but why does nobody look like you? Like you here, like your suits are tailored,
right?
You got all the, but I'm looking at all these young men here. And they literally they went, like you just said, like they went in their father's closet. Pants is, all rolled up on the bottom.
Yeah. Daddy suit.
The suit jacket way
Daddy
down
suit.
On their knuckles, And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Because it remind me of, you see a woman who she dressed up with her kids, look bummy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I'm
I'm
like, I can't have, I can't
deal with
Yeah,
that.
because my thing is, I can't, to me, you represent. Because if you're gonna shine,
right,
then they gotta shine.
Yes.
Everybody gotta shine.
Right.
And I'm like, and I understand maybe they're learning suits, but if you know how to wear one,
right,
then they should know how to wear one.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
And that's what I told them. And I said, and when I see that then I'll be back. But and there's another person against what you're doing.
Exactly.
But if you're going to represent something,
right,
then you have to represent everything.
Right. Because
there's no way that just like me and this man right here. If that man said, "Hey, we finna go out to an event," the first thing I'm asking, what he wearing?
Right. Exactly.
Because guess what? If we gonna go out, we gotta go out. We gotta sign together.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right.
I ain't finna have him go out in the suit. He out in the suit, and I show up in this t-shirt and jeans like I got on. Because guess what? It's just like when they say to bring the property value down. Gonna bring the property value down.
That's true.
But honestly, what you just said, it does tell you something about him. If you allowing yourself to shine, but the rest of them,
dudes,
they dress like that. And that's one thing I can't stand, whether it's man or a woman. I can't stand that. Well, you look good, but your kids look like they just fell off the playground, and they all dirty, or they not dressed properly. Yes. Because that says, what happened to wanting your kids to look better than you do?
Right.
And if you looking better than they are, that says something about you without even saying anything. So I do understand that point because you looking at him going, okay, you shining, you gleaming, you got your pants tight, and everything's matching. But the people you got with you, they're looking around.
And again, I understood the whole. We want to put them in suits, make them feel like. But how you making them feel like a man if he's not dressed properly? Yes.
Pants too long. Yeah.
And it's the tie bow tie thing. Why I don't really wear, because when I was a kid, it wasn't, and when I was older, I didn't realize how much a difference it made in a man when you don't know how to tie a tie. Do you know how and I didn't realize how less you feel as a man when you don't know how to tie your own tie. And I, honestly, and it does. We used to have a program where we taught men how to tie a tie because it make honestly, because anybody can grab a bow tie and cause someone got that little click on it, but to tie your tie properly and to put it on, and that's what I was saying when I was looking at these young men, because what made me mad was that when I first walked into the place, there was two guys standing here, and both of them looked like literally like they just threw this on like they just got there and somebody said, "Hey, we have some suits in the back. Go put them on."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it might have happened. I don't know. And I walked up to the one young man and I told him, I said, "Who tied your tie?" And he said, "The dude over here." So at first told me, "You didn't know how to tie a tie."
Right.
And then they told me he didn't know how to tie a tie either. So I was sitting there and I was showing him how to tie this tie up. Because again, it just looked like somebody just threw it on. And it made me upset because as these people represent, because again, they have to represent you.
Right. Yeah.
And if you working for me, then you represent me. So I'm not finna have, and then these are the first things you see when you walk in the door. So I'm like, okay, so what is that telling me about you? Because again, if you want me to do a story on you, we don't have a problem.
Yes.
Because you ain't gonna like the questions I'm finna ask you. And I told him, I said, so my thing is clean this up, and I promise I'll be back. But I'm not these people that's gonna. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to be your buddy. If you want me to tell a story or your story, then your story need to make sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because again, I'm gonna tell a story. It might not be the one you like, but I'm gonna tell one. Yeah. So my thing, and that's why, and I always tell people about my magazine, is not to tear nobody down. Like people always ask me, why you don't do, critique, like restaurant critiques stuff. That's not my job. My job ain't to make you tell your restaurant down because I didn't like the food. Because my thing is, he might got a line of people that like his food.
But Ray, for the next, we have 8 minutes left. I need you to talk about the underground because you're talking about my magazine.
Oh,
but you failed to. Well, I know what your magazine is. Troy might not know. He knows you have one.
I can understand. I've looked at him, and I wanted to know who I was going to be with. So I learned some things in the magazine, and he was showing me earlier, and I saw it, but I did not know until the show. So educate the people out there.
Now,
magazine, because I was wondering the same thing. Okay.
But go back for a minute. When I put your pictures on Facebook, I got more phone calls.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that.
I got some phone calls.
I'm gonna talk about it in a minute.
I got phone calls.
You are wrong for that, man.
Two brothers in two black shirts like we so like we just.
And then mine swear, I don't.
We like
wait a minute. I'm like, I said, who told? I said, you gotta get permission. Oh man, Miss Fit, I love you. But you was on my
I'm learning to love you, but.
Yeah,
Ooh, two brothers in black shirts looking mean like we just Malcolm X.
I needed that look.
Yeah.
I needed that look.
Woo, you got it.
I needed that look because, but you know what? What let me know? What let me know I was right when I got phone calls in Texas.
Ooh.
I got text messages. First text message was, "Do you know these two men?" Whoa! I'm like, yes, I know them. Well, do you know? And so they went to separating you two by saying, well, he could probably say this and he would probably say that. I'm like, and you're probably wrong. I did. I went back. You're probably wrong. But yes, I got a whole bunch of do you know the caliber of Ray? Do you really know Ray? I said, I've been on this since Under One Roof days. I know what he can say. I say, but Ray knows what not to say. I say, but yes, I got a whole bunch of interesting messages on that picture. And somebody said, how'd you find this picture? His picture ain't on Facebook. I'm like, yes, it is. I found it.
First of all, there's a lot of other pictures other than that one that's on Facebook.
I needed you all to have that face. I said, because it represented the title of the show.
Okay, I'm gonna trust you this one.
You get bow tie. We're gonna get bow tie.
You know what?
I'm with you. For the next one.
I promise you.
The next
one.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Then let's pick a topic for the next show. Later.
Okay.
I know one.
Okay. Let me talk about the Mac.
Okay, but the next one I got it in my head.
Drift off, and I'll never get nothing out. Well, the magazine is called the Underground Monthly. You can go on. I have an online site. It's www.undergroundmonthly.com. The magazine is basically a voice for us, for our community. I started the magazine actually 6 years ago. It started out as I'm a retired veteran, and I got a lot of my friends who actually are retired, and they have businesses. So the magazine actually started out with trying to figure out a way to get them noticed in our community, and people started coming to me and was like, well, you ought to put stuff in here, putting, and I was like, okay, well, then it went from, just information about the restaurant to, this little stuff and that. Now, like I said, it's online, and it's a news article. You can get news, you can get recipes, you can get health, business, everything is in there. But it's still a voice for us. The new issue online is my Black History Month issue, which actually I put in the schools. I got schools that actually use it. Cool. Because I don't be afraid of the magazine, but I just found out about 3 years ago that Texas no longer requires schools to teach Black history.
Correct. Well, it's not just Black history, but it's true.
It's actually up to the teacher's discretion if they want to teach it now. It is not mandatory anymore to teach Black history in most Texas schools, but it is mandatory to teach Texas history in all schools.
Yes.
So again, back to the magazine. That was a little short, thing. But so every year I do a Black History Month issue, and every year, there's always different stuff in there, and I have certain schools that actually use it to teach some children. So, and then like December's issue, my Black Love issue, that is one of the Black Love issue and the Pink and Purple issue. Pink and Purple issue come out in October. It's the breast cancer and domestic violence issue. This year was one of the biggest issues. We had a lot of writers actually write in their stories about surviving either domestic violence or breast cancer. And also for the Black Love issue, we had a lot of writers write in about what Black love, because that's what it is, about what Black love means to you. What is Black love to you? And we had a huge issue this year with the Black Love issue. I also do, like I said, so every issue is something pertaining for us, and I do I got short stories. I have writers. I have some writers who write me short stories, or I have writers who write me stuff up, whether it's business or other stuff. So like I said, it's a magazine that I wanted to incorporate something where we have an unfiltered voice.
Right.
Because again, like I said, I'm a New Yorker, and that's why it's called the Underground Magazine. Because in New York, growing up, your best stuff was always underground. Right. Your best music, like I'm gonna tell you, I can remember growing up. I remember when Nas, for those of you who remember who Nas is, I remember when he was called Nasty Nas. He used to sell his mixtapes out of the back of his car. you know, literally, I mean, I remember
Right.
when, I remember, you know, going, you ever seen the movie Wild Style? That was one of the first hip hop movies. I used to live like right around the corner from where Wild Style was made in Queens. I'm telling you, so I grew up with hip hop, you know, but it was, most of your stuff wasn't on the radio. So that's why it's called the Underground Monthly, because I wanted to be where a lot of stuff like restaurants,
Right.
shows, a lot of stuff that you don't know what's going on in the community, it's going to be in there.
Okay.
Or it's going to be online, so you can go online. And, I'm sorry, I want to share one more thing. I just started a thing called the Pay It Forward Project.
Okay.
It's just started it. Started it this year. What I'm doing now is I'm paying homage to those people doing stuff in the community.
Okay.
The first recipient winner actually is today. We awarded her today, Miss Dr. Elizabeth Jennings, for her Boys Matter to Men project. She does mentoring for young men. But what I'm trying to, so if you want to submit somebody for that award, if you know anybody who's doing great things in the community and you want to submit something for them, go on to my site, like I said, www.undergroundmonthly.com, and right on the front is a submission form, so you can just download the form and just send it right back to me. You can send it to either back to the site, or you can send it to my undergroundmonthly@gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to thank Troy and Ray for coming on today. And
Thank you for having us.
And
Thank
so,
you.
so
Anytime you need us to return.
oh,
Yes,
you
will.
will, because we're gonna pick I need to pick a more heated topic.
Oh, wow.
Well, you can just ask me. That topic's line. I got love, because you know I do. That's what for the magazine I do a poll every so often.
But we're gonna talk about Black History
So
BC.
you want to do a
No,
Black History?
we're gonna do
poll
Black
or-
History BC.
BC. Okay.
So see, now you trying to make white people like be liars. I'm just gonna say that on. Yeah, I said it on the radio.
I can't. We can't talk about.
Yeah, I'm
African
just saying
history
you just
BC.
gonna make people like liars. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, well, hey,
You gonna have me on the show. Yeah, how much
each one teach one. We
There you
just
go,
gonna
huh?
have to throw it out there and let them understand it.
like my grandma used to say, we gonna throw the spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks.
Because Troy, I don't know. You might not know. Well, you saw it. I put on Facebook about Amen. I said who he is. Actually,
Amen?
yeah, I
see.
said who he is. Boy, oh boy, did I get beat up.
Yeah, that's because that's a
Bet you
religion.
did.
I shouldn't have got beat up.
That's a religion. You know, it's two things I don't.
Well, I just wanted people to know who he was.
And I understand that, but
Yeah.
but see now people going, wait a minute, who I've been talking to? You know, so again, I don't mess with people with religion. I don't mess with people with politics.
It's not religious. It's
Again,
spiritual.
but people don't see. Some
I
people
know.
don't see the difference.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah. So well, I don't do religion. I don't talk about.
Sorry, but we're gonna talk about us BC.
Yeah, we talk about BC.
Yeah,
we
we
talk
are.
about BC. You know.
Because I know you two can handle that.
Oh yeah. Hey.
I won't have to worry about y'all running in the corner.
Like
No.
you said, we either gonna dance,
Yes.
or we're gonna give it to you.
Yes.
And again, I
I
don't
don't
dance.
dance.
Nah.
So I'm gonna give it to you.
So you gonna get it.
Straight chaser. No
Ooh,
chaser.
no
Just
chaser.
straight. No chaser.
I don't do that.
Y'all
I don't
heard-
even- I don't
y'all
even do
heard-
ice.
And
No
wait a minute.
ice.
I don't even do ice.
And see now
No ice.
these two men are gonna give me different pictures to put on Facebook of them. So I'm gonna see what
Yes.
they gonna
Yes,
give me.
We're about that life, but we're
Yeah,
not about that life.
Yeah,
Okay.
please, I don't-
'Cause,
But see,
you know,
certain
hey,
pictures have to represent.
Yeah, but you
What
gotta
you
get.
talking
But certain
about?
pictures have to draw people into it.
They did,
Some-
believe me.
Some people be like, oh, that dude looks scary.
Yeah, we don't want to listen to them. They look scary.
Believe me.
Like they just got out the
Yeah,
kid.
like that, yeah, you know, like I have never on my back.
Yeah,
No.
so-
I am. No, I am.
It's okay. I woke y'all up.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
And I said, out of all the pictures that Miss Phyllis could have got from me,
That's on your.
especially me.
It's on your Facebook page.
Like you've been knowing me for.
It's on your Facebook page.
That ain't the only one on my Facebook page.
It was the only one I found first.
Well, we're gonna definitely make sure we get her
Yeah,
some more pictures. If I gotta go home and
I'm
dress
gonna
up
go home and put some
and take a
clothes on
picture in the
right
bow
now.
tie, I'm going
I'm
to
gonna
do
go home
that.
and put something. Or actually, I got an event I gotta be at right now.
Yeah.
So I gotta go get this award. How I say we got the award ceremony today.
Ooh, I'm not laughing for real.
That's okay.
I want to thank everyone for listening to Kids Community Connections this morning, and I hope that you learned a whole lot. And also while learning, you need to have fun too.
Yes.
Because it's no fun it is no fun learning without having some fun.
Without having some fun. Please put a smiley face.
So,
like Cat Williams always said, get your 7 chuckles.
So go over Mama and them house, and she probably cook you some food.
And go, Mama. You probably gonna have to go over Mama.
Mama and them.
You probably gonna have to go over Mama and them.
Yeah.
The kids. And both of them gonna cook.
Yeah. Both the grandmas.
Both of them gonna
Both
cook.
of them. This Super Bowl weekend, we're gonna put this out. Everybody be safe. Everybody social distance a little bit. Have fun.
Enjoy yourself.
Don't drink and drive. Enjoy yourself. And we enjoyed the show as well.
I enjoyed myself.
And you know what? I think I'm the only one here that knows nothing about football. I don't.
Time to go.
I know nothing. I'm a hockey.
I'm a
hockey fan. I'm a hockey
Yeah.
fan. Okay. I'm from Detroit.
That's a whole different story
That's a whole
too.
different
We can
story.
educate the public on hockey. Being up north, black, started hockey league before.
Hey,
But we'll get into that too. That's a whole different story on Black History Month.
But I want
to
to
do a show at the end of the month.
But if you get a chance,
do a show at the end of the month.
if you do get a chance, go on and check out my Black History, Black History issue. I
do
got
that.
because you'll be surprised by all the people.
Yeah.
It's the
You asked for cars last time.
Yeah, okay.
this issue is the 40. I got the 40 most inspiring African Americans, and this what this issue is about. So my top 40 inspiring African Americans. So go out there and check that out. Cause
You have my Shiro on there?
I got everybody.
You don't have my Shiro on there. Mary Fields.
I don't have Mary Fields.
Oh, shame on you.
She didn't make my top 40.
How she not make it? How she not make
Because you
it?
see the top 40.
Look what she did. Yes.
Stage coach.
But you see the top 40, you understand. You see the top 40. Because I
You
did.
just insulted me.
Because I did eclectic
Okay.
of top 40. Like I wanted to get like a lot of genres and a lot of different areas of blacks that people don't know about.
Okay. So you don't have my other Shiro on there, do you?
Who?
Because she got me kicked out of school.
I don't know what that
Angela Davis.
Yes.
Oh, well,
Okay,
no.
good.
Actually, I got on the cover, but I
Okay.
don't have the story.
Yeah, because she got me kicked out of school. I had on a jacket that I can't say what the jacket said on the show, but I wore a jacket like she did, and afro like hers.
Yeah, I
and
saw
all
that picture. You
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I mean, we take out the bounce out. She got this big afro. We all black shirts like that.
Right? See.
You know what I'm saying?
You see the hold on, I'll show you.
I used to have an afro just like that too.
I never had an afro. I never had an afro.
I did. I had to.
And it's funny. I've never had an afro.
My mother came home from work one day, and boom.
Yeah, it is.
Only thing she said was, "It's about time." But anyway, I want to thank everyone for listening to the show, and I want you to always remember you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.